As with any brand that has a racing pedigree or proud sports car lineage, enthusiasts weren't too sure if Jaguar was making the right decision by introducing crossovers, having produced luxury sedans and coupes for almost a century. We all know that SUVs are more lucrative for manufacturers. We also know that these vehicles tend to not have the same soul and character as the cars they're based on. Yet, the Jaguar F-Pace has always been intriguing, since you can't opt for a V8 with the SVR. But today, we'll focus on the more pedestrian P250, a crossover that takes the DNA from an XF and combines it with the more sensible body style that's conducive for families. With its luxury persona and injection of dynamic handling, it could be the perfect fit for someone who desires having fun throughout the week. So here are 5 reasons why you should buy a 2023 Jaguar F-Pace. When you're shopping for performance-inspired crossovers, there's usually a drawback or two, one being the sacrifice of practicality and overall interior space, as these vehicles tend to have lower rooflines and sportback rear fascias. To minimize the impact of designing a crossover that Jaguar loyalists could be enthusiastic about, the F-Pace is actually slightly larger than most of its competitors, being a couple inches longer and marginally wider, which in turn will deliver surprising figures when looking at the overall cargo capacity. Behind the second row seats, you'll have right around 31.5 cubic feet of room, outclassing the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, Porsche Macan, Maserati Grecale, and Mercedes-Benz GLC. When those second row seats aren't in use, that space increases to close to 70 cubic feet, providing the room necessary to load up the vehicle with gear if you're going on a skiing trip, but also you can definitely go on that road trip with the family. For second row passengers, even with the panoramic moonroof, headroom is more than abundant, and legroom is on par with rivals. Despite most compact crossovers not being suitable for 3 occupants in the back, due to the F-Pace's width, there should be enough shoulder room where everyone will be comfortable. The Jaguar F-Pace P250, being the base model with the base powertrain, may not sound like much fun on paper, nor does it appear to be the most appealing when comparing it to the P400 or SVR. As with most luxury crossovers, its purpose is to be comfortable and to offer a driving environment not seen from mainstream alternatives. In typical Jaguar fashion, they weren't just going to produce another boring SUV to disappear amongst the sea of mundane rivals. In fact, the F-Pace is full of surprises the longer you drive it. Under the hood, the P250 is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, producing 246 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Despite being tuned for a quieter and more relaxed experience rather than putting you on the edge of your seat, the F-Pace has no problem putting the power down, especially in the range between 20 and 60 miles per hour, and that's complemented by the 8-speed automatic that transitions through the gears smoothly, which suits this crossover's luxury-first approach to this market. To our surprise, the F-Pace does have dynamic handling characteristics, where steering is very fluid and on point, and when on back roads, you can take on sharper corners with relative ease, as body roll isn't as egregious as you'll experience elsewhere. While feedback will be kept to a minimum, which wasn't much of a surprise with the P250, it is a pleasant crossover, especially with the softness of the suspension and the well-insulated cabin that blocks out road and wind noise to isolate you from the outside world when traveling throughout the week. One of the highlights for the P250 is the upscale interior that awaits you, as the leather seats, which can be upgraded to Windsor leather, sets a tone for what you'll be feeling when your hands grip the steering wheel for the first time. Jaguar has never been known to be the most tech-focused, like Audi or Mercedes-Benz, as there wasn't a full digital gauge cluster. However, you can opt for a head-up display to help keep your eyes on the road ahead. You'll also have an 11-inch touchscreen, with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, to go along with onboard navigation and the Meridian sound system. Functioning much like a tablet, there isn't much of a learning curve when navigating your way through the different menus, as it's cleanly laid out and quick to respond. The rest of the cabin is more minimalistic in design, but that's masked by the light oyster and ebony dashboard on this model, which fits the persona of the F-Pace perfectly. Unlike some competitors who craft their interiors to be one-dimensional, the F-Pace is anything but stodgy, as the aggressively bolstered seats, even for the P250 and driver-centric cabin, quickly inspires you to push the limits of this crossover, or at the very least, entices you to select dynamic mode when cruising on back roads. If configurable and active dynamics have been equipped on your P250, you can individualize how you want the F-Pace to perform. And while some have claimed the F-Pace has a rigid and stiff suspension, you can counter that by selecting a softer setting to keep longer drives relaxing and comfortable. More importantly, Jaguar's first crossover doesn't seem like a vast departure from their sedans, which is why it's perfect for a current Jaguar owner looking to upgrade for a more sensible vehicle without missing out on the brand's sporty DNA. As much as Jaguar has been loved for the sports cars and grand tours that have been produced throughout the decades, it's the craftsmanship and attention to detail that attracts buyers and enthusiasts to come back for more. The F-Pace is no exception, and in fact, its eye-catching road presence and XF-inspired design possibly makes Jag's first crossover one of the most visually appealing in this segment. In the past few years, the F-Pace has received a very minor cosmetic facelift, but for the most part has remained relatively the same since its arrival to showrooms. The beauty of the F-Pace's design is that it incorporates the front fascia from the XF, appearing more like a lifted car rather than a rugged SUV, as the striking body lines brings a dynamic yet sophisticated style to this vehicle. While our model did have the brushed aluminum accents, you can opt for gloss black for a lower profile look. However, we think an appearance package isn't necessary for the F-Pace, as its luxury first approach suits the P250 more than the additional aesthetic features that would fit the aggressive nature of the P400 or SVR. Completing the classy look for the F-Pace, standard LED headlights will provide more than enough lighting when traveling at night. But also, the L-shaped daytime running lights does draw your attention when taking a first glance at this crossover. Then coming around to the back, taking inspiration from the F-Type and XF, the thin LED taillights that wrap around the final third of this crossover is likely one of the first things you'll notice for the F-Pace, along with the sportier and coupe-like roofline. Tucked beneath the bumper will be the dual exhaust outlets, keeping the rear fascia looking clean. But also, as previously mentioned, gloss black accents tie the appearance of the F-Pace together as the color contrast complements the gray exterior very well. The argument could certainly be made that in the crossover market, it's impossible to be unique or one of a kind, as from a driver's perspective, these vehicles all perform and handle in similar ways. Where the Jaguar F-Pace deviates from many competitors is by being classy and luxurious, but at the same time, still having a sense of being dynamic even with a Turbo 4 under the hood. Its sophisticated styling and on-road composure is exactly what you'd expect from a niche brand, as it may not be particularly strong in one area, but excels at being a jack of all trades. Interior quality will heighten your experience behind the wheel with the right packages, but the same goes for performance, as the adaptive driving settings will add some exhilaration to your weekly commutes. While the F-Pace is more expensive than most rivals, you're not buying this crossover for its affordability. Instead, you're in search of a special vehicle that mainstream manufacturers just can't offer. We hope you enjoyed this quick buyer's guide for the 2023 Jaguar F-Pace. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And if you're interested in buying a Jaguar F-Pace or any other luxury crossover, make sure to check out our full reviews to help you find your next vehicle. And thanks for watching.